We've been in the wedding photography industry for just about 5 years now as part-timers, and in that time we've been everything from photographers to videographers to second shooters to videographers actually working alongside photographers. Enough to know that we have noticed three very worrying trends in the wedding photography industry specifically, and that's what I want to talk about today. So we've noticed three specific problem areas in the wedding photography industry, and those three are these. The first problem area is family photos. The second problem area is managing your couple's emotions and the ability to protect your bride and groom on a wedding day. And the third problem area that we've noticed wedding photographers struggle with is getting experimental and trying new things. So let's start with problem number one, and that's family photos. And let's be honest, I mean, as wedding photographers, if we were all to take a vote of the least favorite part of a wedding day, we would probably say family photos. And up until very recently, I would have found myself to be agreeing and saying that family photos are my least favorite part of a wedding day. What I think we've concluded as to why wedding photographers dread family photos so much is it's a twofold reason. Number one is our attitudes, and number two is our mindset when it comes to family photos. Before even getting to family photos, our attitude about it sucks, so of course it is actually going to not be an enjoyable experience for you as the wedding photographer or for the family that is getting their photo taken. And I think the other part of family photos is that we're actually missing a tremendous opportunity, not only to build rapport with the family of our clients, our brides and grooms, but because you never actually know who's part of that family photo. You could actually be meeting a potential client that is getting married next year or receiving a referral from a family member that might have had a good experience with you. That's the thing, we don't see family photos as an opportunity because, let's be honest, where do our new opportunities and new leads come from? Yes, they come from Google, and yes, they come from Instagram and social media, but more than anywhere else, and this is true for us, and so I'm assuming it's true for most other smaller wedding photographers, new leads come from client referrals and people that have watched us work in the past. Family photos, I think, are a tremendous opportunity, like I previously stated, to build rapport with the family of our current clients and potentially build up a referral base of people that might actually look at our work in the future and go, those guys did an amazing job. Maybe we should hire them. Let's move on to the next problem area, and that's protecting the bride and groom as well as managing their emotions on a wedding day. Now, some of you might be thinking, what does this mean? Well, let me break it down in the form of a story as an example of what I'm talking about. At a past wedding, Carly and I were the videographers, and we were working very closely with the day of photographers. Naturally, Carly and I are very laid back, we're easygoing, and we always make a point to not actually add any stress to what is already a stress and anxiety-filled day for a bride, a groom, and their families more often than not. What we started noticing on this specific day, though, is there were a few people that, instead of removing things from the bride's plate in order to reduce stress and anxiety, people seemed to just tack things onto the bride's plate. They were asking questions, they were asking about schedule, they were asking about this, they were asking about that, and slowly but surely you started to see the bride's cup just start to be filled, just to the point where it was about to overflow and she was about to burst in tears and emotion and just start to feel overwhelmed. And we had only been in the wedding day for a few hours at this point. And unfortunately, one of the guilty parties that was actually seemingly adding to the stress instead of removing it was the photographer. The photographer was stressed about time, making sure they were on schedule, missing moments, organizing this, making sure this was here, double checking this, double checking that. And all that tended to do was stack thing after thing after thing on top of the bride's anxiety-filled plate. On top of this, the bride's mother was doing the exact same thing. So everything was double. Eventually, Carly and I stepped in and we pulled the bride aside and we made sure to let her know that, hey, today is about you and the schedule runs around you. People can make do with extra time, and we're gonna make sure that you have an enjoyable day, because this is supposed to be one of the best days of your lives. You're getting married to the person that you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with, so we're gonna make it about that and nothing else. From that moment on, we also made a point to intercept anyone that seemed to make a beeline for the bride with a question or a concern, and deviate them and try and answer those questions as best as we can without bothering the bride. So you're asking what the point of this story was and how does it connect to managing a bride's emotion? Well, the thing about this is, if you haven't noticed, as a wedding photographer or videographer, you are going to be with a bride and groom almost more than anybody else on a wedding day. You're there in the morning, you're there in the evening, and you're there all night to party it up on the dance floor. That's a whole day. The focus of your day should be your client's experience and not necessarily the photos that you are trying to take on a wedding day. Because if the photos that your clients receive after their wedding bring up negative emotions filled with stress and anxiety, instead of reminiscing on beautiful moments and a beautiful day, have we really done our job as wedding photographers? I would say probably not very well. And let's move on to the last problem area, and that is getting stuck in the same old creative rut. Every wedding is a new opportunity for you as a wedding photographer, and yet I see wedding photographer after wedding photographer just come out with the same images wedding after wedding after wedding, and you could basically line them all up and nothing would ever be different. It reminds me of someone who just goes to a 9-to-5 job for 10 years of their life and nothing ever changes. And we don't want to be that. My encouragement would be, let's get more creative and try new things at weddings. Now, hold up. What I'm not saying is let's make everything about weddings different. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is let's try and bring new things into every wedding and create new images from time to time. Please make sure to keep getting the groom's reaction when he sees his bride for the first time down the aisle. Please make sure you still capture those crying moms, dads, and guardians when they hand off their person to be married. Please keep getting those party dance floors, the reactions, the speeches. Don't change those things. What I am saying is let's add more creative elements to a wedding day from a photography or videography perspective. Experiment with things like filters, haze, and different elements, and find photographers that inspire you, and try things that you have never seen in the wedding photography industry before and change it up. Don't settle into a groove that allows you to just treat every wedding as if it were the same, but set the bar high for yourself creatively for your next wedding. So in sum, this is getting long, so let's sum up what we saw. So the three biggest problem areas that I think are happening in the wedding photography industry are family photos being an issue, protecting your bride and groom and managing their emotions, and getting stuck creatively. Well, here are a couple very quick solutions that I want to propose. Number one, treat family photos like an opportunity rather than a requirement. It's an opportunity to get to know your client's family. It's an opportunity to build rapport, and it's also an opportunity to build a potential client referral base of people that will have your name pop up in their minds when asked of some person that they might have had take their wedding photos, or their daughter or son's wedding photos as well. Number two, protect your bride and groom on their wedding day at all costs. First of all, take a deep breath, take a step back, be laid back, and do everything you can to remove stress from your bride and groom's day rather than add stress. Step in when you need, intercept those that are bugging, and make sure to answer as many questions as you can on behalf of the bride and groom. And more than once, remind the bride and groom that this is their day, so what they say goes. It doesn't matter what anyone else might say or think. The schedule is dictated by them. And number three, getting stuck creatively, never stop learning. What I mean by this is never be satisfied with your work and always set the bar a little bit higher for yourself. Watch videos from people that inspire you, watch reels, dive into photography books, and honestly even dive into other kinds of photography for inspiration. I'm talking landscape, architecture, Vogue, just change up where your inspiration is coming from and bring that into a wedding day, and you'll reap the benefits. Start treating every wedding as an opportunity to take your creative juices to the next level. So this is a pretty straightforward video, but these are the things that Carly and I have actually been discussing a lot for the last few months as we've taken a little bit of time off of weddings and kind of realizing that we've noticed a worrying trend that we want to do everything to prevent in the wedding photography industry. So if you have anything to add or another problem area that you might think we missed, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it and start a little bit of a discussion. If you found this video helpful at all, we would totally appreciate it if you hit the sub button and the notification bell as well. That'll let you know when our next video is coming out. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.